Hello guys, welcome back to Potans 4, and today we will take a look at Zoo Tycoon, the board game, the adaptation of the computer game for, well, I would say really hardcore board gamers. Because the computer-based Zoo Tycoon, which was released in 2001, in case we were feeling young, is a legend among building strategies game. Then you can finally try in board game format. Even through Zoo Tycoon, the board game, is not the kind of uncomplicated fun for the whole family that the cover and artwork might suggest. That's because the cheerful Zoo in the box, the animal-shaped wooden figures, and the page 14 plus on the packaging suggest that it will be just, it's sort of family-friendly, relaxing game where you can go and look at animals, kids. And that's not the game. It's a dense Euro game with virtually no dice running. The people put enclosures in the zoo and put animals in them. But instead of relaxing with friend, you got full on grind, where you will be fighting for every winning point on the leaderboard. There are even three of these historical conditions. The two main ones, conservation and popularity, which determine the ultimate winner of the game, and then education, which will win the game at its own, but gives you extra points towards the other two. Interestingly, your final score corresponds to the scale where you have all these points. So if you have to collect points, everything is done evenly, and it's not possible to leave any of the components out completely. The is not mechanic. Learning the rule is long game in itself. Explaining all the mechanics in the YouTube video usually takes around 1 to 2 hours, and the game time is roughly twice as long. It has to be said that despite the tentative rules and with micromanagements, the game does flow quite well, and in the 2 players, after two games, of course, you will get the 2 to 3 hours game indicated. I will try to briefly describe the rules so you understand the basic mechanics, but, well, to not grow in them, because, well, there are so many different rules. Plus, the game doesn't do completely, well, player friendly, because lots of similar things have unnecessarily different rules. For example, there are 4 types of boxes: animal shelters and various contact points for visitors that you place in the enclosures, some of which score the same way, others differently, which is where the iconography gets confusing, and because it's same for the boxes which but are not the same and score differently. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it clearly, but neither the game. Furthermore, these patterns are spread over the 3 pages of rules, and it's only in our 4th game that we finally get to experience them and, well, start playing them properly. So beware of this, and I wish you figure this part of the game out soon as possible and not get lost in different but smaller differences. The game itself is divided into 7 rounds, which have 4 phases according to the seasons. In spring, a random event card is drawn, which might be, well, something like bird flu or popular movie at the cinema with animals that get popularity bonus, and the babies are born. This is the only mechanic of the game where the dice are rolled, so offsprings are simply not a guarantee. Then the summer follows when animals are bought or sold on action, with the amount of each species offered and demanding changing year to year. Since we are playing as zoos and not animal smugglers, all animals are free. Thematically, these are exchanged between zoos around the world, but you're just limited to 2 transactions per round as player. This is where the first tactics comes in, because there won't always be enough animals available to open the enclosure anyway right away, because each species has a set lower limit on the number of animals which is needed to enclosure to open. And now we do take them and stockpile them, knowing they won't be any of use to you this round, and hoping to, well, there will be offered the next round, or will reward to take an inferior animal, but one that will immediately entertain visitors because you can put it into enclosures. Of course, you have also the option to buy animals that you don't need, but you just don't want your opponents to have them. In the autumn, shops and enclosures are built and purchased animals are released into them, which in practice is much more complicated than this simple sentence would suggest, because each field and each animal change many things. The happiness of the animals in the enclosures, the maintenance of the zoo, the enthusiasm of the visitors, and depending on the surrounding buildings, your final score, whether it's conservation, education, or popularity. And fall is logically followed by the winter, when you mainly count points, pay taxes, and receive admission revenues for the next year. It may not sound that complicated, but there are a plethora of metrics to check through the game that are constantly changing, making the game longer. Every round you are building something, adding something somewhere, and all sorts of stats and little numbers keep changing. Likewise, you have to keep looking for components in pile, and I say it's really huge pile of cardboard and wooden meeples. And one example for all. You have a new zebra. Yeah. You expand the zebra's enclosures by one field, so you have some place to put the baby. To do that, you have to find the right biome expansion box. Then you replace the cup token with the correct gendered adult, adjust the zoo maintenance for the new addition, and change the happiness coefficient for the animal based on the number of animals. It may not sound like a lot of tasks, but considering that you will be doing this virtually every interaction in Zoo, and ideally several times per round, it's not exactly an immersive activity, and to be honest, it's a bit of exhausting. What's completely off-putting for me too is the fact that the Zoo Tycoon, the board game, is up for to 4 players, but even playing with in 2 players, we found ourselves running out of the animals in the last few rounds, and we were each keeping different ones. In theory, each of the 4 players can breed the same kind of animal, but when one is able to use basically the whole game to play, something is wrong. So there aren't few in the box at all, but in short, there should be even more of them so their limitations wouldn't come so easy. Luckily, although different types of animals are housed in their own printed paper boxes, which at least help to clarify and fit nicely in the box. Even for one huge but. There are no compartments in the box for enclosure boxes, which drastically represent something like half of the tokens. So it's terrible mess anyway. When I search on the internet for what I should ideally do with them, with this, pile of tokens, so I wouldn't have to hunt them down from all corners of the box after carrying the game, I found it was, mistakes on the part of creators who forgot to put intended pouches in the box. Something like, what? But even for the game with this price range, with this, depending on, your language edition, but something above $100, euros, pounds, not a cheap one, it's, quite disappointing when you have to, buy your own small boxes or zip pouches or something like that because the creators forgot that to put them in the box. Ooh. Would you recommend Zoo Tycoon the board game? Oh, to a very specific group of board gamers who regularly meet in, I would say, close company or club, and they want to play challenging pieces and enjoy dense strategies because it's a game with virtually no randomness. It's probably about understanding the system and gradually mastering and using them, which you will demonstrate in the winning strategy. After first few games, you will find that the lion and otter are overpowered animals that you want to have from the first round, and you are already thinking about where to place all the food stalls. or not even thinking because you are using the optimal layout you well found out the last game. In closed group, where each player has equal experience with the game, it's thrilling, evenly matched competition where you know in ideal what to do because you know what the ideal grade for the zoo looks like and you have really tactically market the animals to make your plan happen. But throwing a newbie with no experience into the game with experienced players is just well beating a dead horse and nothing more. At least for first few games. By the very logic of the matter, this is not a relaxing game if you pull out for evening with friends, let alone family who may be logically tempted by spend a evening building a zoo. Because it's really difficult game with high learning curve. It's no comfort that for some reason the authors have thought to frame the scoring board and all the exchange board on a free size cardboard. So the game is huge on the table, and it takes so many more time, space, which is not really necessary and realistically needed. But they, for whatever reason, decide to print two huge A3 cardboards. So you really need a proper family dining table to play or the classic 6x4 wargaming table, and even that will be full. On the other hand, the components are top quality, and but after all, it fits the price range of the game. Although the beautiful wood and animal figures are easily interchangeable, especially if you are looking for primate, for example, because they have all the same or sort of similar silhouette, and the only difference is different shade of gray. Getting to the verdict, Zoo Tycoon the board game is interesting zoo building game with exciting gameplay wise. It has too many different mechanisms which lock it out from less experienced players or families, which is sort of sad because there is 13 plus on the box, but you will stomp the 13 plus kids for the game. But it can be targeted with the team because it's about building a zoo, and it's, on the first side it's some family friendly game. But when it finally gets to your blood, so it offers all the players at the table the same, really evenly matched game where the better strategy really wins because, well, you can excuse yourself on the lags or anything. Basically, just really a skill-driven game. So, that was my review of the Zoo Tycoon, the board game. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment if you agree or disagree with me. Hopefully, see you in the next one. Bye, guys.